Hi, greetings from New York City. This is Suzzy Roche of the Roches, and we're celebrating 20 years of Retrospectives with John Broughton on 3SER KC Radio. Peace on Earth.
Well, firstly, congratulations on the new record. It must be a great feeling to have the Roches back on CD again.
Yes, it's been a great process, the whole thing.
There's been a lot of people waiting a long time for this. Have you been surprised by the reaction?
I think what we didn't realize was just that our fans were still out there, and they keep coming out of the woodwork to see us, and that's really great.
Now, you began performing together again as the Roches before there was any thought of making this record. Is that right?
That's right. We started, it was really by accident because we were asked to do a benefit for one of the presidential candidates. And so we did that. And it was fun, and so we just decided to keep going.
I guess being family, it's not as if you've all lost touch with each other over the years, so getting back to work together would be a lot easier compared to other bands reforming.
Well, yes and no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very, very intense thing to do, to work with your family, because with other bands, I guess there's at least some sort of distance. This is sort of like, you're right into your deep subconscious when you're working with your family. So it's a big commitment, and but it's also great because of that too.
So was there any tentativeness about taking it all back into the studio again?
No, once we got back into the studio, or once we started to write, I think we all got excited about it, and it was pretty natural. We've been, doing it for so long, and there was a spurt of energy too, because it was the three of us back together, and a lot of creative energy bouncing around, and it was good.
So do you think the time that you've all had away from the Roches as a whole, pursuing other projects, has been essential for you to reach the point where you have with this record? Could you have recorded this record had you all stayed together all those years?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I think, at the time that we decided to take a rest from the group, it was just really the right thing to do because, we had been on the road for 20 years, and we really needed to operate as individuals in the world. And actually, it was an incredibly busy period. And I had a great 10 years myself, work-wise. And so I think also each of the three of us kind of got better at what we're good at. And so when we came back together, it was like familiar, but then also, oh wow, you got better at that. And, oh, you're better at that. And so that was real nice.
So other than the songs that were covered on the album, were all the others written specifically for this project?
Yes.
Uh-huh. So when you were writing for it yourself, did you have to put your mind into group mode rather than I'm writing now for a solo record?
Definitely, and most especially for me, I think, because I tend to really think differently when I'm in the group. I sort of try to fill in what's missing, and that's very different than thinking about what you wanted to say by yourself. And one of the things we did was we did a lot of co-writing so that it would really have a group feeling. We really wanted it to be like a real Roches record. And once you get the three-part harmonies going, that really, it's hard to separate the writing from the arrangements.
With all of you being writers, did you have a specific criteria in choosing whose songs and which songs would eventually make it to the record?
It was pretty obvious, I think. We had a bunch more songs than we used, and we just sort of, it just became clear which ones we wanted to do, and also kind of what the whole record was saying, with all the different combinations of songs.
Did the recording process work any differently for you this time than it had in the past with the group?
Oh, well, we mostly played everything ourselves. That was a big difference, and that's something we also wanted to do, because we've worked with so many different musicians and, made so many different kinds of records, and so we wanted this one to be really for our fans. They like to hear us the way we sound live, and so a lot of the recording was really done just sitting around in a circle singing.
So you hadn't recorded that way in the past, gathering in that circle?
We had gotten into, having, we may have started out that way, but then, you start having people come in and play on things. And a lot of times people kind of play right over our arrangements, and that's a problem. They don't hear what we're actually doing, even though they're great musicians. The arrangements that we make are very, very, they're very much like a puzzle, and every single note fits with every other note. There's really nothing that is played that's not, sort of figured out.
I saw on the website the record described as a greeting card to lost friends. Can you elaborate on that?
A greeting card to lost friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's sort of like, we have a very, very... for some reason, and it's very mysterious, we have a very big, enthusiastic following of our music. And the people who get it, they really get it big time. On the other hand, in the commercial sense, we haven't really had much commercial success. We're not a mainstream band at all. And so you sort of wonder, how do people even hear about us? And there's some sort of weird magic thing that happens where they actually do hear about it, and they seek it out. And so in a way, it's just we put it out there, and they hear it. And I'm not even sure how it happens, because everything is kind of pointed against it.
Now your daughter Lucy is on the record. What a magnificent voice she has.
Yes, she does. She has a very unusual voice, and it's very clear, pure voice. She kind of grew up with us on the road, and she was, she was really the rebel of the family by not going into the music business. Both of her families are, on both sides, everybody's a musician, and so she decided to become a school teacher. But now she's actually out there doing gigs as well, and she's on her way to England, actually, with her father to do a tour with him over there.
Well, so is she now set on a career in music, or how far is she wanting to take it?
I don't know. I really don't know. As her mother, I was sort of hoping she would get a job. But, she does have a beautiful voice. I mean, it's kind of strange, she gets up and on stage, and when she opens her mouth, it's kind of like everyone goes, she just has a special gift. And I think that, she's been in school getting her master's degree, and she's just been working really hard, and I think it would be a shame for her not to explore it.
Yeah. As you say, with musicians on both sides of her family, she's virtually surrounded by music. I guess it was inevitable at one stage.
Yeah, although, it also makes it more difficult, too, because then she's got to, it's almost comical, and it becomes like a joke that everybody's doing gigs. But I suppose, it's kind of like the family business.
Yeah. Talk about some of the songs on the record. One with a very simple title of just Ha.
Yes.
Can you I believe it evolved out of another song. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Oh, yeah. Well, that was really, it's an example of I brought in a song, and Terry really, she hated it. And she hated one line in particular. So sort of out of, just to get her back, I took the one line she hated and wrote another set of lyrics and sent it to her, and then she wrote a tune for it.
Is that something that happens often for you? One song can evolve out of another?
Yes, I find that a lot of times, you're going in one direction, and then you get some line that you like, and or in this case that you hate, and it's almost like playing, throwing the dice or something like that. And I guess the thing is really just in one of those kind of periods of writing, just to be writing all the time. That's the way I think, just keep writing and something will happen,
Yeah. Tell us a bit about Paranoid Larry. He's not someone we know too much about down here in Australia.
Paranoid Larry is in the subculture of New York City. He is not a lot of people know who he is, but he is a wild man, an extremely political songwriter, and he kind of plays in the bowels of Brooklyn, in the places that most people wouldn't walk into. But he is a very, political writer. Mm-hmm. And he's just very funny, too, and a very strange character.
The title track of the CD, Moonswept, I believe, evolved out of you hearing a talk by a poet, John Ashbery?
Yes, John Ashbery is... are you familiar with him at all?
Vaguely, yeah.
Well, he, is quite a dense, poet. Some people would say obscure, and some people would say ingenious. And so I heard him speak. I heard him speaking to some students, and they were all mad at him for being politically incorrect, and he was sort of, baffled about it. And he's older, he's about 80 years old, and just watching the two generations, go at it with each other was just fascinating, especially since I was sort of right in the middle of those two generations. And I thought it was very moving because his writing is very mysterious, and he was talking about when he was young writing poetry, and it just was so beautiful, and yet it didn't seem to matter to the students, and that was very, very moving to me.
Do you often have your songwriter's radar up when you're out and about in situations like that, taking in song ideas?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Such as when you're out listening to that talk by John, do you often have your songwriter's radar up and about and looking out for song ideas in just everyday situations like that? Again, I guess when it's a period of writing like that, it's just everything that's happening is going into the subconscious or something like that, you know? And it's just, the thing is, the ordinary life is fascinating. The things that happen, I don't know if it's from living in New York where, you're walking on the street and it's just packed, filled with activity, and things are happening all over the place. But I suspect it's not just living in New York. I suspect that everywhere it's the same way. It's just the life is incredible, and it's the more mundane, the more interesting. So you mentioned the song "Family of Bones" as a song that brings back some childhood memories for you. Quite a dramatic incident. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Oh, yes. Well, that one, I wasn't aware of it at the time that I wrote it. I'm not even sure why I wrote that, but after I had written the lyrics, I realized that all of the images were very early childhood on this a certain pathway that we used to walk when we were kids. And one day, Terry and I were standing in front of a brick wall, and there was a garbage man next to us, and this car started. It was like a runaway car came down a hill. There was no driver in it, but it was heading right for us, and this garbage man scooped us in his arms and got us out of the way, and the brick wall where we were standing was completely crushed by the car. And it was just, I had to be 4 years old, but I realized that he saved our lives. And it was just one of those moments, in your life where you're like, wow. But I was really too young to know that,
Childhood memories bob up in another song there, Us Little Kids. Can you tell us about that one?
Yeah, well, that's another thing about the childhood this record. I think a lot of it has to do with childhood, and probably that has to do with the fact that we are sisters, and we have known each other for so long. Something about the combination of being older now, and also that we hadn't seen each other in a while, and then getting back together. I think it might have sparked all this, early childhood stuff. But Us Little Kids really just came from a flash of a moment of just remembering this park I used to go to, and I used to ride on this seesaw by myself, try to get it to go up and down. Do you guys call them seesaws?
We do, yes, yep.
And anyway, I was like, just that moment in time where I used to go to this park and I used to watch the sunset, I remember. And that's where that song came from. I have no idea. It wasn't meant for a particular person, even though several people have asked me if I wrote it about them. So I must have some enemies around.
You pulled out a glorious old tune from the 50s to cover, The Naughty Lady of Shady Lane. What inspired you to cover that one?
Yes, that's one of our earliest, again, that, from when we were very young. That was one of those, 45s we had that we would listen to over and over again. And when we first started to sing, 30 years ago, that was one of the first songs we learned.
I guess you can't speak for the others, but for the songs that you contributed to the record, could you already hear the arrangements in your head before you went into the studio, in particular the vocal arrangements?
Well, the vocal arrangements are not done in the studio. That's the most painstaking part of it for us. We sit around and we, literally go note by note and try a million different notes and, just slog it out. Everybody has a big opinion about what notes we're going to choose, and so the vocal arrangements, that's the thing that probably would classify us as being insane, because I don't know anyone else who would spend so much time doing that,
Yeah.
And it's very it's crazy making, but it's, for some reason, it really is the thing that drives us. And I guess it always has been.
I guess you're taking this CD on the road. You're touring again as a group?
Yes, we've been on the road pretty steadily for the last year and a half. And, it probably, there'll be an arc to it, I'm sure. I'm not sure how much longer we'll be able to do it. But we'll do it as long as people want us to come and play.
And what are the plans for the remainder of this year?
Just doing gigs, really. We pretty much go out every weekend.
Right. Any solo projects in the works at all?
Not for me right now. Not. I don't think anybody's got a moment right now to do anything else. That's one of the things about doing this. It's all consuming.
Yeah.
Because we have to keep rehearsed. I mean, the one thing about it is that the live show is really what we're known for, and it has to be really tight, so you can't really do anything else.
Well, Suzzy, congratulations once again on it. We've loved the solo work you've put out in recent years, but it's fantastic to have some new material from the Roches as well.
Well, thank you so much, and I'm so touched that you would call from so far away, and it really makes me feel good.
Oh, the pleasure's all
Hello
mine.
to everybody out there so far away.
We hope you can make it down here. It'd be great to see Have you been down here before?
I've never been there. I'd love to go there, but I don't know if that's going to happen, but I can't even imagine what it's like there.
It'd be great to see. It really would.
Yeah.
Well, best of luck with the rest of the touring, and we'll look forward to whatever's next in the career.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Suzzy.
Bye.
Take care. Bye bye.